logo here.
That's why I was handing it over to you, because I didn't have it up.
Well, I do, yeah. So I would like to introduce Spencer. Spencer is, I met him the other night. I attended a BSA Alumni Association for educators. It's an Educators Alliance, and it was kind of it was very interesting to me. They were talking about an award I had never heard about, and being a retired educator and a longtime scouter, I had no idea that this stuff was even going on. And I put the word out there and said, "Hey, how would you like to come out and talk with us?" And Spencer said, "I'd love to." So we're gonna. That's his introduction. So Spencer, take it away.
More than great. Thank you, Pat. So good evening, everybody. I'm so flattered to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. As the guy who works in Evanston, international headquarters of the Rotary Club, I'm happy and honored to be here. And actually, Pat could tell you from my email, I actually was inquiring how to be a member of this Rotary Club personally. So I'm just excited to be here. So this is an introduction. My scouting background goes all the way back to being a Tiger Cub in 1991 when I joined Cub Pack 700 in Holt, Michigan, which doesn't exist anymore. But from Tiger Cub to senior patrol leader to lodge chief to assistant scoutmaster to a council board member, I provided service at the council, regional, national levels of the Boy Scouts, and it's an honor to be here. I'm an Eagle Scout, a Vigil Honor member of the Order of the Arrow, Silver Beaver Award, Outstanding Eagle Scout Award recipient, BSA Alumni Award recipient at the council level, Alpha Phi Omega, Herbert G. Horton Youth Service Award recipient, Distinguished Service Award with the Order of the Arrow, as well as serving as the NISA chairman, vice president of programs, strategic initiatives, alumni relations, and currently my most proud position, serve as charter organization representative for PAC 333 in Prospect Heights, Illinois, for my son, Cub Scout Pack, where he's a Tiger Cub. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Professionally, I serve as Chief Operating Officer for Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity, and I serve in a multitude of positions, both in higher ed adjacent as well as an alum of my university. I'm proud of my wife, April, and my son, Karsten, and we have a dog named Scout, of course, because what else would you name a dog if you weren't involved with the Boy Scouts? So I'm going to share a slideshow with you here in a second. I'm going to try to make this work. So give me a second. Try to share my screen here. Okay. So hopefully y'all can share. Y'all see the presentation now. I hope someone can give me a thumbs up or yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I created a slideshow of the BSA Alumni Educators Affinity Group. So as I shared, I'm Spencer Long. I have a multitude of positions as well as my background, 15 years of working in formal higher education. So back in 2019, we invited Ray Kapp, who you may or may not know, from Tennessee, to be the chairman of the Eagle Scout recognition ceremony and Pathway to Adventure Council in Chicago. That would be March of 2019. This was right when all the firefighter affinity group stuff was starting to get steam. And I said, "Hey, Ray, what do you think about starting an educator affinity group?" He said, "Well, I think it's a great idea. Would you be willing to chair it?" I said, "Well, I need to think about that." And so we had taken some time, and over the course of March 2019 to May 2020, I had agreed to be chair of the inaugural educator affinity group for NISA and the BSA Alumni Association. And so you'll see our original logo there on the screen. And since 2020, we've grown from 1 member being me to 178 members in that 4-year span. So the educator affinity group was established to find meaningful ways for scouting alumni, friends, and those currently active, both youth and adult, who work in or have an affinity to education-related fields, to support and give back to scouting. This is in support of scouting and friends of the committee to establish and promote enhancement of the programs that foster continued engagement within scouting. So this group was intended first and foremost to bring those who are not currently engaged in scouting back in, those who are currently active, a way to find a purpose to give back to scouting. And that purpose manifests itself in a number of ways: networking, educators, helping to build or establishing educational relationships, serving as subject matter experts on merit badges and our training courses, which we've already done, and or in a review of merit badge counselors, or serving on merit badge staff or administrators. So since our inception in 2020, we've hosted 5 virtual professional development offerings. We've offered 3 virtual scholarship merit badge offerings, which, as alluded to, 51 scouts earning their merit badges and scholarship merit badge. We are offering this February a virtual reading merit badge, which currently has 26 scouts registered. And we have a digital promotional library, which I'm willing to share here with this group. And we have the Fretwell Award, which we promoted, as well as the Educator Thank You, as well as scholarship resources. So we've offered scholarship resources at the 2022 NOAC, 2023 Jamboree, and we're also going to do so in the 2024 NOAC, as well as doing offerings in Aeronon Scouting, which is the BSA revenue for promoting resources. We did that in 2022 as well as 2023. So let's go back. In the professional development offering, in its initial inception in the fall of 2020, we did a course, or we provided a professional development offering where we brought all of the national recipients of the Fretwell Award as well as other prominent figures. So we brought President of West Virginia, Gordon Gee. We provided the other professional from Arkansas. We provided a Board of Trustees member from Indiana State, as well as the other Fretwell Award recipient from Georgia, for a panel. That was in our first professional development offering. In the next professional development offering, we did an educational adjacent offering. We had the educator from the Oklahoma City Zoo, myself as a education adjacent working in a fraternity, as well as education adjacent for the Truck Drivers Association, to provide how scouting has helped them shape their career. We then, in the following spring, did in spring of 23, we provided an offering for people calling Quiet the Whispers, which is more for professional development related to those working in higher education, during COVID to quiet the voices. I mean, a lot of people struggled during COVID as teachers with not having any outlet. So we did that. And then we provided another one related to those who are new teachers and resources related to them. Later this spring, we'll be providing a resource called AI for Educators. So basically, if you're not familiar, artificial intelligence in education is a new up-and-coming phenomenon. We figured, how can we provide an opportunity for educators to embrace AI in education versus block it out? I mean, as an educator myself, I think about how we can embrace it and teach students about AI versus blocking it out simply because it's a new reality. And if we don't embrace it versus blocking it out, I mean, it's not really an educational purpose for our students. So that would be our fifth offering. We've created a promotional library related to the resources we offer, which is provided on our resource. But first and foremost, related to scholarships, we'll get to here in a second. So like I said, here are those things that we outlined related to that. I'd like to spend some time talking about scholarship resources. So about a year ago, 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago this time, I was approached by the National Eagle Scout Association saying, hey, Spencer, this last year, we just got done reviewing the scholarships, and they were okay, but they weren't great. You leading this educators group, I wonder if you can help us teach young people how to apply for scholarships. Simple things. How can you help us proofread? How can you help us teach them how to provide most thoughtful answers for applying for scholarships? How can you help them teach ways to just simply apply for scholarships? And so before the 2022 NOAC, again, about this time 2 years ago, I was called from the National Boy Scout office. And so I agreed to provide a workshop for young scouts on how to apply for Eagle Scout scholarships. So I provided that during the 2022 National Order of the Arrow Conference. I presented it 3 times and basically talking about, okay, how do you apply for scholarships? How do you be thoughtful about applying for scholarships? And how do you do so in the most thoughtful manner? So presented that in 2022, which led to presenting to Aaron on Scouting, which used to be Brian on Scouting, in 2022 in the fall of that year. It was so well received that I got a call from the National Boy Scout office ahead of the Jamboree last year to say, hey, Spencer, can you give that same speech at the Jamboree? Sure, I'll drive down to the Jamboree. So I gave that same speech in 2023 at the Jamboree, which led to, again, Aaron on Scouting this last fall. Looking ahead to this next summer, I've already been asked to give the same speech and to have an educator day at the 2024 National Order of the Arrow Conference. So again, if you think back, I'm going to go back one slide. In just simply 4 years of existence, we've offered 5 virtual professional development offerings. We've provided 3 virtual scholarship merit badge offerings. We're providing a reading merit badge offering this February. We've created a digital promotional library. We're promoting the Fretwell Award, which I'll get to here in a second. We've created an educator thank you, which I'll get here in a second. And we've provided scholarship resources to both the 2022 NOAC, 2023 Jamboree, and 2024 NOAC. Huge gains in just simply 4 years. But looking ahead is what I'm most proud of. So As I mentioned, we have 178 members currently. We're going to continue our path forward, looking ahead. We're going to try to work over the next year to engage 250 members of the BSA Alumni Association over the next year. During the 2024 year, we're going to work to host at least one National Educator Affinity Group event, either at the national annual meeting of the Boy Scouts or during the National Orthero Conference in August. We're going to continue to identify educators who are willing to take on leadership roles within our group. And we're going to continue to grow on the number of professional development offerings. So as I mentioned, in February, we've got this great new offering, but our goal is 2 a year. So my goal is in the fall that we'll have a second follow-up to the AI and education session. And then we're going to continue to work with Educational Relationships Committee to expand the promotion of the Fretwell Award. So let me spend some time talking about the Fretwell Award. So the Dr. Herbert K. Fretwell Award is first and foremost designed to memorialize an educator and academic and a pioneer in the area of youth development through recreational and extracurricular activities. As the second Chief Scout Executive of the Boy Scouts of America, Dr. Fretwell incorporated these conceptions into the various programs and changes during his tenure. Today, right now, the Boy Scouts of America wishes to acknowledge and recognize our nation's educators who inspire our youth and our scouts on a regular basis. So the Fretwell Outstanding Educator Award was developed by the BSA to recognize educators, administrators, and school administrators to support scouting movement and incorporate principles of scouting's oath and law into their curriculum and work with our future leaders. So nominees for this award do not need to be in scouting. In fact, they should not be in scouting. Our number one people should not be in scouting. So as you think about people in your local councils who may be educators, the Fretwell Award may be a great way to recognize them. As I tell people day in and day out, this is a great way to open doors to the Boy Scouts to help bring in new people who are not currently affiliated with scouting into the scouting movement to help recognize them. So that's a little bit about the Fretwell Award. Again, for educators, may be registered, may not, who teach the Scout Oath and Law day in and day out to help advance our movement. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we do. And I'd just like to thank Pat for the opportunity to present with you guys tonight. And I'd definitely be open to any questions, or Pat, anything maybe you want to expand upon tonight that I hadn't hit on earlier.
Well, if you could, how can we as scouters and members of this club promote the Fretwell Award? What can we do to go out there and make that more? Because I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, so Pat was at our meeting literally last Wednesday, 4 or 5 days ago. Pat's like, I'm a retired educator. I've never heard of this thing. Pat, I'm with you. I've been an educator for 15 years, not like you, not retired, not anywhere close. I wish I was after 15 years, but the Fretwell Award is really an opportunity to open doors. So it was established, if you're not familiar with the Boy Scout hierarchy, was established by the Educational Relationships Committee. So this falls under the membership committee. So this is a group that's working to establish more membership within the Boy Scouts. So that's their goal, expanding membership. So the Fretwell Award was established to recognize educators who've opened doors. So this is teachers, superintendents, principals who said, yeah, we're willing to have we're willing to sponsor a Boy Scout unit within our school, or willing to connect you to the PTO to get you connected to scouting within our school. That's the primary purpose of the Fretwell Award, is to recognize educators, to open doors to allowing more units within educational institutions. So as a guy in Chicago, okay, so I'm going to be really honest with you guys, somewhat confidentially, because I trust all of you, but somewhat truthfully. Pathway to Adventure, one of the top 10 largest councils in the Boy Scouts of America. You know how many Fretwells they've given out since I've been here? I've been here 12 years. How many they've given out? 0. Not one. How many people would say the Chicago's Teachers Union is probably one of the top teachers unions in the country? I would tell you it's probably one of the best, if not the best. To me, as a former council board member before my son got involved in scouting, if I'm not given a Fretwell Award to the president of the Chicago's Teachers Union or the superintendent of Chicago's Teachers Union or school district every year, that's a miss on my part. Or the Catholic school district in Chicago. If you're not familiar, Chicago Catholic School District is very powerful in Chicago because we have a very powerful private school district in the city. Or if I'm not reaching out to every major suburb, Schaumburg, Arlington Heights, all those major suburbs to recognize principals or superintendents in my school district, to thank them for allowing scout units in their districts, is a miss on our council's part. So that's the purpose of the Fretwell Award. Thank those people who are teaching scouting value, being trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind. You know the things we're talking about. Being physically strong, right? All those things are the things we're talking about in the Fretwell Award. If you know an educator in your district that are doing those things, those are the things we should be recognizing. And I know from what I gained from you all tonight, Jim and Evanston, very strong school district. We probably have great units there. Pat down south. Again, I know all the rest of you are all over the country. I know you know the type of educators that we're talking about. We should be recognizing those folks through the Fretwell Award, bringing them in, welcoming them into the family, and bringing them part of what we're trying to do in the scouting movement. So
Well,
that's
I know, Spencer, this is, I'm Pete Sargent. I'm down here in just outside of Austin, Texas, Capillary Council, and that's exactly what we do. I know in my time on the board, so it's got the exact, I can say the exact opposite. I've run out of fingers and toes to count the number of Fretwell Awards we've handed out since its inception.
Yeah, Peter, you're one of the rare councils. You're one of the very rares that have done it the way it should be, right? So there's one National Capital Area Council, probably number one in my eyes, largest, most engaged council in the country, thanking educators and embracing them and thanking them for their worth in scouting. That's the purpose of the Fretwell Award. That's exactly what we should be doing. So Peter, thank you.
By the way, for clarity, not National Capillary Council, Capillary Council. There is a difference. There is a difference.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it is, I know our school system and our scouting has lost a lot of rapport here in the past years. As a matter of fact, our next roundtable is how can we get into our schools? And so I can see this award as a key, not just a
That
nice
is why we
recognition.
do it down here, Pat.
That's right. It's a key to get into schools.
Huge. It's a door opener, not a door closer.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, so Peter, I don't know, where you're at, and Pat, why do we award the medallion? So I'm an educator, I'm a doctor, just like Pat, EDD, whatever. But if I had the award, I don't have it. I will wear that at every graduation I had. That's the purpose of the medallion for an educator, is to wear it at a graduation with your regalia, right? It's to prop up the purpose of what we're doing in scouting. So
Yep.
Pat, I'm with you 100%. It's a door opener. It's a way to advance scouting.
Yep.
Is the council limited to how many they can give?
So there's a guideline that says 1 per school district, but there's not a limit. The Fretwell is very open so when you open the Fretwell book, I'll be first and honest with you. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, but I want you to take a step back. And as you read the guidelines for the Fretwell Award, read it for what it is, a guideline. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a guideline. Each council is able to adjust the guidelines at the district and council level for how many or how few they give out. So if you want to give out 1 per school district, if you want to give out 10 per school district, that's up to you to give out as a council or as a district. It's simply a means to opening up more doors to bringing educators into the table. So Pat, great question. But again, nothing more, nothing less. It's a guideline. It's not a mandate.
1 per school district, that's a lot.
Yeah, some of our councils like Chicago, I'm a Pathway to Adventure Council. I represent all of Cook County. You know how many school districts there are in Cook County? In Illinois, I have no idea either. And I sit on one of the school boards. I have no idea how many there are, but there are a ton that we can recognize school districts and administrators all left and right for opening doors for us. That's its purpose.
We had some big success here in my local council district not too long ago with getting the superintendent to say, yes, you can, BSA can distribute materials through our schools. And while it's up to each individual school, they at least have the blessing of the school district that they can say yes now.
Right.
So again, the Fretwell may be a perfect award for that superintendent. I'm saying he's deserving, but if in addition to that, he's living out the scout oath and law and teaching about it day in and day out, he may be a great person to give an attaboy to give him the Fretwell Award. Because guess what? I can guarantee it's going to keep the door open a lot longer than just this current year, right?
Yep. Well, I emailed the district executive and the person that helped make that happen and said, hey, did we give this person the Fretwell? Because I said they did something to recognize him, but I don't remember what they did. So,
well, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who don't understand or get the Fretwell Award, and anybody who's on this call, I'm willing to talk to any of them. I'm willing to get on the phone with any professional to talk about the Fretwell Award, its intent, its purpose. Because a lot of people, number one, don't understand it. Number two, if they understand it, they don't understand its purpose. And number three, they're worried about the cost or the expense about awarding this award to somebody. If anybody doesn't understand, I'll call and explain to them. Number two, if they understand and they don't have the means to do it, I'm willing to do it. Number three, if they don't have the expenses to do it, I'm your next call because I'll find people to pay for it day in and day out. Because there are a number of people who are willing to step up and pay for the cost of this day in and day out. So,
excellent.
yep.
Well, thank you so much, Spencer. This was fascinating. And we'll get the recording up for people. Stop the recording.